Hello viewers, welcome back to my YouTube channel, English and Literature with Carol. Thank you for always being here. Thank you for all the subscriptions that you've had. Thank you for inviting your friends, your schoolmates to come and learn with us. I know you have been enjoying Fathers of Nations by Paul B. Vita. This is a compulsory set book that will be tested in KCSE 2024. The Form 3s are already doing it. I know you love it. I have received a number of questions. Keep them coming. I'll continue answering your questions. Thank you for always being here. Now, we want to look at a hurt man. Who is this terribly hurt man? Do you remember in a previous video, we talked of Professor Kimani Karanja, who had been very hurt. The fact that he had lost his wife to his friend or a former schoolmate, newborn Walomu, he's been hurting. Newborn Walomu is way younger than Professor Kimani Karanja, he's way younger than Asia, but he has married Professor Kimani's wife Asia, and that was the encounter that we went through. On page 37, maybe we can go there and see what transpires. Remember, this one, newborn Walomu is an arrogant man. He has approached Professor Kimani in a very arrogant manner. Remember, they are confrontational. Professor Kimani has used abusive language. He has called him a fat baboon, and they're in confrontation. And newborn Walomu tries to justify why he has stolen this other man's wife. Now, on that page there, he gives him all kinds of statistics, what the Americans do, what the Britons do. But definitely, as a hurt man that Professor Kimani is, he confronts newborn Walomu in an interesting manner. He tells him, when he was near, when he goes there, the man stood up. Who is this that stands up? Professor Kimani Karanja. He tells him, no, don't come, newborn Walomu tells Professor Karanja, don't come near me. But Professor Kimani Karanja is a hurt man. He wants to approach this in a very aggressive manner. So he has told, stop where you are. He said, Professor Kimani Karanja kept coming. When he was near enough, he swung a fist. He missed. First you steal my wife, he said. He swung another. He missed again. Now you mock me as well. He swung yet another. This time, lost his balance and fell. Oh my God, that's an embarrassing moment. Professor Kimani Karanja has not only lost his wife, but has lost a physical battle with newborn Walomu. Newborn Walomu gets on him. He pounces once. And then he tells him, now die Karanja, he said. Definitely that's not the way men should behave in an office. Newborn Walomu, being the powerful man he is, he cannot be judged or taken into prison for a long time. The only person that suffers severely is the lecturer, Professor Kimani Karanja, and he suffers. He is demoted for having fought a member of parliament. That is on page 38. He doesn't know what to do. He has been jailed for 6 months. Imagine. It's good that we should control our temper. You know, literature is a mirror in the society. What you're learning is what you should, at least you should be cautious of. Now, there is a change of scene there, where after those 6 months that Professor Kimani Karanja, remember he has been hurt, just as you say, a hurt man. Who has hurt him? Newborn Walomu has hurt him because he has taken his wife, and he says that old is gold. He justifies the reason why he has taken Professor Kimani Karanja's wife. He has been demoted. Professor Kimani Karanja is a dejected man, and this is a life-turning moment. Pay attention to this. Because when that door is locked, there is someone that has been introduced to us who has knocked at Professor Kimani Karanja's door, and that person is called Tad Longway. He introduces himself as Tad Longway, Director of Special Projects at AGDA. And what is AGDA? What does it stand for? AGDA stands for Agent for Governance and Development in Africa. Where are they based? They are based in Cape Town, South Africa. Tad Longway is a white man. Remember, the white men have also issues that they're supposed to deal with. There are people who are white, but they have been Africans all along. So Tad Longway introduces himself, and Professor Kimani Karanja may not buy it for the very first time. He introduces himself and tells him why he is there to recruit Professor Kimani Karanja. So he tells him the African leaders, the presidents have failed us. They were elected to parliament because they were supposed to fight the three evils that they were supposed to fight. That is poverty, ignorance, and disease. On page 40, we are clearly told, but our leaders have even gone ahead, made Africa worse. How have they made Africa worse? They have even added a fourth kind of vice, that is corruption. Leaders are corrupt, and they were not willing to fight corruption. They have even gone ahead, not only added corruption, but there's something else that they have added called impunity. And Tad Longway says they are there to recruit. He is here to recruit Professor Kimani Karanja, so that he is invited to the summit where they have an agenda. The African presidents have their own agenda, but now Tad Longway is there to recruit members into AGDA. Remember, we said from the beginning of the book, there is information that will come learning, and now we'll go on learning. Now, this is information that we are given some sort of a flashback to understand where does AGDA come from? What does it advocate for? AGDA wants to advocate for an agenda called a path alpha, and they have targeted and said this path alpha, they want to get the finest and the best. Some of the finest people in the society are the teachers. And who is this teacher? Professor Kimani Karanja. So he is there. He has always believed that he was born a teacher, but now, really, he has been wronged. He wants to have a change. He wants to have a change that no one will ever discover that this is something that he ever went through. And at that opportune moment, AGDA has come. And he says, a teacher's job is to coach people towards a better future. That is what Tad Longway tries to convince him. An activist's job is to coax them towards that future. So he's there trying to win Professor Kimani Karanja. And indeed, this has come at the best moment, because we see that Professor Kimani Karanja buys the idea that he shall be able to attend the summit at Banjul, Gambia, and Tad Longway has told him he is going to make sure that he's given to get observer status for Professor Kimani Karanja and AGDA. Remember, the director for AGDA, we said, is Tad Longway. Now he has recruited who? Professor Kimani Karanja. And that's how we know that Professor Kimani Karanja has become one of the members of ALDA, and he will be going to the summit. He has agreed. This one has a great moment for him, because he says suddenly there is something to live for, and this one is path alpha. Path alpha is there and is joyful that he's going to make sure that this is something that is going to push. Now, we said we don't want a disjointed discussion of fathers of nations. That's why we are slowly getting to chapter 4. Now, chapter 4, we want to look at, still in that episode, in episode 4, we want to look at another character. Remember, we had encountered Fiona Mackenzie, who had been interviewing Dr. Folabi. She had introduced herself as a reporter for the Gambian News. There's something interesting here about her status now, because she's now part of the American reporters. She's there as one of the interviewers and one of the journalists who wants to attend the interview. But in this case, she has not only become a great journalist, but also will be representing the Americans. So we are given an encounter there in her taxi. There's a taxi driver. The African issue does not run away from us. We see, unfortunately, these are issues that we are trying to deal with. The taxi driver is a graduate that cannot get a job in Gambia. Remember now, with the African heads of state all over, there are so many roadblocks that they have to endure, and now this one has created a way of bribery. The motorists are being asked for bribes, and they must provide the bribe. So they are searched all over. This young man, a taxi driver, is forced to bribe. Fiona Mackenzie is waiting for this young man that cannot resurface, but he was there, turned upside down. That one is more of hyperbole, as an exaggeration, that we know that he was turned upside down and he has been forced to give a bribe. And now Miss Fiona Mackenzie comments that, why would you bribe someone? And then he becomes sarcastic. The taxi driver becomes sarcastic and says that he will go and he will go back on his way back. He is going to ask the guards who he bribed to arrest him for bribing them. He's being sarcastic. In other words, he tries to say, you cannot do so much. There is bribery all over. And now we come to learn, how did Fiona Mackenzie become one of the VOA reporters? We are told now she's joining the VOA in the bureau, the VOA bureau in Banjul. This one is a change, that VOA was even stopping the Americans from watching the news. Voice of America was not allowing people to watch the news from Voice of America. But now, even the citizens wonder, what kind of rules are these? Now, that's how in this new change, they have even broken the rules and employed Miss Fiona Mackenzie. From the Gambian News, we are told she will make more money, definitely, now that she works for the VOA. And they are trying to justify that. So she's there for an interview. And we see the way that interview goes. And she's trying to, we are introduced. She's trying to get all the information that she can, but we are introduced to another character. Do you know who that character is? That character is an American called Nick Sentinel. Continue watching. We shall continue discussing this book. I know you want to learn more about Nick Sentinel. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. See you in the next video. Bye.